Thank you, Judy and Dave. I am excited. Here we are in the third week of Advent. And you know I like to change that word to adventure because we're moving into something. This is not a Christmas of old. This is a Christmas unlike you have ever known. It's a new birth within you of a greater Christ consciousness, the light within. So I invite you to join me in an opening prayer. On this third Sunday of Advent, I choose to awaken the song of love in my heart. In this adventure to Christmas, Jesus Christ is here now, raising us to the pure consciousness of love, and we align our souls with the Christ Spirit of love. Thanks be to God that it is so. Amen. I welcome all of you to Unity South Twin Cities on this very special day. I'll get to that in a moment. I want to welcome all of our friends joining us online. Your presence makes a difference. We may not physically see you, but we know you're supporting the celebration of this hour by joining us online. One of you even, I returned home yesterday to find a beautiful gift box in the mail, and it was from one of our viewers in Phoenix that had sent me some special oils that you use during the holy nights of Christmas to Epiphany. Thank you. My birthday is this week. I do welcome long-distance gifts. So there we go. Today, I am thrilled. It's been quite a weekend. First, you're going to meet Reverend Shad Groverland in a few minutes as he shares his lesson with us. Reverend Shad is the Executive Director of Unity Worldwide Ministries, headquartered at Unity Village, Missouri. But he's been on the move. And the past year, you've been to how many cities with the workshop? 30-something. You know, look, I seriously give you credit. I've been around Unity 40 years. I have yet to know, been some wonderful directors of our movement doing good things, but I've never seen anyone get out and visit churches all over the country to bring them new ideas, to begin by praising their good work. And so he did yesterday, presenting an all-day workshop. We had representatives from our churches throughout this area and as far away as Cedar Rapids that I know, about 50 people in the workshop, a wonderful luncheon. Thanks to Lindy Anderson, put together a great feast for all the attendees. We got to show off, and I mean that in a good way, show off Unity South to guests who had never been here before. So I am thrilled that Shad and his wife, Erina, thank you, I'm trying to learn it, Erina, were willing to stay over today because I really wanted you to meet in person the director of our denomination of Unity. So I won't take any more of his lesson time. I also am thrilled because Judy honored my request, perhaps a birthday request, in having Thomasina Petrus here today. I love when she sings. I love this summer going to the state fair and hearing her do concerts. I sat through it 2 times in a row because it was so wonderful, and I'm always thrilled with what she brings. Well, she's a good soul to get out of bed this morning because she and our friend T. Michael Rambo are both in the new production of Beauty and the Beast at the Ordway. She is bringing to life Madame de la Grande Bouche. So that was the wardrobe that turns into a personality in that show. So she's going to thrill us, and I know one of the songs she's doing, she's the only one who performs it, Mary, did you know, in a way that I get it. Have you ever had songs like that? Sounds good. But when a performer brings it to life in a way that you understand the composer's idea behind it. Thank you. We've got Adam Schneider on the live stream this morning, and I'm also pleased that Dave Cole is here to jazz it up a little bit with percussion. So thank you, Judy, for putting it all together. So now it is time to open with music, one of my favorite Christmas songs, number 279 in your hymnal, Angels We Have Heard on High.
Angels we have heard on high, sweetly sing.
be seated. For those of you that were not here yesterday for the workshop, you may notice something different in our sanctuary. Shad's he inaugurated it yesterday. He'll continue today. The screen is not yet mounted up higher where it will eventually be. But I want to thank you again, because one Sunday I asked you to help do this. And after the service, you gave me everything that was necessary to purchase and install this in one Sunday. So hallelujah. I appreciate you. Further announcements, you can see your bulletin, but I do want to stress we're doing a great job. Gifts are pouring in for the mortgage retirement. As you know, we were scheduled to pay off the mortgage in April, but our annual meeting is in March, and I thought, well, that's kind of a downer for me to tell you it'll be paid off next month. So we've already collected enough to pay it off in time for our annual meeting. Our next goal is, by the end of December, if we collect enough to pay that mortgage, then on Sunday, January the 1st, when we celebrate the burning bowl, I'll have something called a mortgage to cast into the burning bowl. Wouldn't that be amazing? And it's possible at the rate you are supporting this project. So, without further ado, I invite you to do the most important work I believe we do in unity. That is to see one another and to know the truth, the light, the Christ within each one. Often, out in the world, in our busy lives, there are people that see the highest good in us, but not always. But when you come to your spiritual community here at Unity South, you can be confident that everyone, to the best of their ability, is going to see the potential, the value, the divine spark within you. And that makes our community different from just a meandering through the Mall of America or another part of our wonderful Twin Cities. So I invite you to look around the room, catch someone's eye, and say aloud or silently, "I behold the Christ in you." And we want to include our friends that we do not physically see, but we feel with our hearts. And so I invite you to look at the camera over the entry door, wave at our friends viewing from a distance in various states. Good morning, thanks for being here, and let's all repeat, "We behold the Christ in you." You are a blessing. This Sunday is the third Sunday of Advent. And so we light a new candle. The reading of the daily word will remind us of this idea of love. But I want you to see this Advent wreath as something more than just a symbol in the church, a pretty decoration. As we light each candle, if you feel it inwardly, you know that light, or that love is lighting in you this morning. It's an inner warmth that you carry. This outer candle is only a reminder. So we light this candle, the third candle, symbolizing the love that is being renewed within our souls, within our community. Thanks be to God. It's now my pleasure to invite licensed Unity teacher and prayer chaplain coordinator Don Rollefson to the platform to lead us in the daily word and prayer.
The daily word for today, Sunday, December 11th, 2022, is actually an appropriate daily word for any day of the year. The word is love. The affirmation, I answer the call to love, embracing the world. Love is both a noun and a verb, more than just a feeling. It is one of the highest intentions I can hold, and one of the most sacred actions I can take. Love is the name and nature of God, the pulsation of oneness from the center of my heart to the farthest reaches of earthly existence. On this third Sunday of Advent, love is also a call to action, an invitation to perceive the world through the Christ presence and live as the love I am. I open my heart, let my love flow forth as kindness, gentleness, and compassion. I stay grounded in the presence of God through my prayers, and I radiate love through my kind words and actions. I trust my loving impulses will reach far and wide. The light and joy I send forth grow and expand to encompass all things. From John chapter 3, verse 18, little children, let us love, not in word or speech, but in truth and action. Let's reflect for a moment on the word love. In gratitude, we begin our time of community prayer. We relax into this moment, breathing slowly and deeply. We clear our thoughts of any cares or concerns and recognize our entire worldwide community, honoring the Christ Spirit within all. We receive and share the love of God with all of mankind, knowing that we are truly blessed. We acknowledge the spiritual power of praying together as we envision a world filled with peace, harmony, and joy. I know that world peace begins with me. And as God is peace, therefore I am peace. With peace in mind, I read the Silent Unity affirmation for today. The Spirit of wisdom speaks in the silence. Everything I ever need to know arises from within the silence. I train my busy mind to slow and still, to focus and be attentive, for wisdom is a whisper of truth. Right now, I give birth to divine wisdom in the silence. Acknowledging the prayer requests Unity South has received, we behold and affirm the truth within these individuals. We know that Spirit is working in their lives as they further awaken to the presence of God as their health, supply, and sense of purpose. Let's take a few moments in the silence as we reflect on these prayer requests. Let us now sing the Lord's Prayer and feel the truth that is expressed in this model of prayer taught by Jesus Christ.
Forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors, and leave us not in temptation. Deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, the glory, forever and
I will be available in the back of the church after the service for anyone wishing one-on-one prayer. Thank you.
Good morning. Mary, did you know that your baby boy would one day walk on water? Mary, did you know that your baby boy would heal our sons and daughters? Did you know that your baby boy came to make you new? This child that you delivered would soon deliver you. Naysayers said, Mary, just say no. Don't do it. Don't carry. Don't go through it. Mary, you're a child, meek and mild. You don't understand who you'll give birth to. Mary, did you know that your baby boy, he gives sight to the blind man? Did you know, oh, your baby boy could calm the storms with his hands? Did you know your baby boy, he's walked where angels trod? And when you kiss your little baby, you've kissed the face of God. But naysayers said, Mary, just say no. Don't do it. Don't carry. Don't go through it. Mary, you're a child, meek and mild. Just don't understand who you'll give birth to. Oh, the blind will see, the deaf will hear, the dead will live again. Oh, the lame will leap, the dumb will speak, the praises of the Lamb. Ooh, Mary, did you know your baby boy, he's Lord of all creation? Did you know your baby boy, he'd one day rule all nations? Did you know that not a baby boy. He's heaven's perfect lamb. And this sleeping child you're holding, he is the great Mary, did you know? Mary, did you know?
How we all doing? Good. Did we all remember our Unity socks today? Got to be dedicated. We got to be dedicated. All right. Well, I am Reverend Shad Groverland. I am the Executive Director of Unity Worldwide Ministries. What does that mean? That means that me and my staff, we oversee the 650 Unity ministries we have around the world. If you didn't know we have that many, we do. And we work with all the leadership in those various ministries, the boards, the licensed Unity teachers and ministers themselves. We credential and ordain them. So we have about 3,000 leaders in Unity that are out there doing this work, and we support them. So I am absolutely blessed to be in this position. I was born and raised in Unity myself, so I was called into this position by Spirit to do this work, to help the movement I absolutely love. So if you're wondering why I'm here, that's why I'm here. It was not by choice. Sometimes Spirit makes a choice for you, and here you are. So, all right, let's get into it. I like to ponder things in my life as a student of truth. And one of the things I've pondered over and over again is, what do you need to be happy? What do you need to be happy? There's lots of times in my life that I've been happy with very little, and then I complicated my life and was not happy. And then I'd look back and say, why did I get away from the simplicity of when I was happy and make my life more complicated into a place where I was not so happy? Anyone else ever been there? Half of you. The other half are really blessed. I appreciate it. This will mean nothing to you. Just wait another 20 minutes or so. We'll get through this. Albert Einstein, if you respect people with big brains, said, a calm and humble life will bring more happiness than the pursuit of success and the constant restlessness that comes with it. We live in a fascinating culture, a truly fascinating culture that, for whatever reason, believes that more means more happiness. We live in a system that is designed around the concept of constant increase, constantly gaining more. Fundamentally, we are trained to be hoarders. Hoarders of stuff, hoarders of thoughts, hoarders of emotions. There's not a lot of teaching about release and letting go of stuff and things and thoughts and feelings that don't necessarily serve us. I mean, you think about it in school, what is it? It's, well, you gotta graduate high school, you gotta get off to college, you gotta get in debt to go to college. Then once you get out of college, you immediately need to get in debt in a house. And once you're in debt in a house, you have to add a car onto that, possibly 2 cars if you can, so now you have 3 times the debt. And then you're supposed to rush into a marriage with a person you probably know nothing about. And then on and on and on. We have this system in place that's really just designed to create suffering, fundamentally. Because we look at the people at the other end of this system and we see, these are the pinnacle of the people that have arrived. We look at our superstars, we look at the famous, the wealthy, the rich, all of this. We look at them and we find out they're miserable. They're taking tons of medication to try to get through the day, and some of them are taking their own lives. And here they are sitting at the end of this so-called plan that society had for us, sitting at the pinnacle of where we thought we were supposed to go, and these people are fundamentally often miserable. And we don't at that point say, hold on a second. If that's the goal, why am I on this train? If that's the final destination, I'm getting off. I don't want to go there. But over and over again, throughout all of our history, we've seen that when we ride that train and we go in that destination, it winds up to more suffering, more separation, more pain, more agony, but yet we still sell this system to our children. Collect lots of things, collect lots of debt, get a job that barely, maybe barely affords you to have all the things you have, so you're constantly stressed every month about whether you can pay your bills. And that's living. Yeah. Then you'll arrive. Every month you go, am I going to make it? I don't know if I'm going to make it. I probably should work more hours. I probably should get a second job. That's really living. So we sell that to our children, and they grow up, and they sell it to their children. And who actually stops and goes, why are we doing this? Anyone ever met someone who lives a really simple life and is just crazy happy? Like in Colorado, growing up, there was always the sort of the ski bums. These are people that just worked very minimal jobs so they could ski as often as they possibly could. And they were just these happy clams wandering around. And everybody's like, oh, the ski bum. They're kind of like shaming them, like, oh, they dropped out of society. They're no good, good for nothing. They're not contributing, not doing anything. And they're like, hey, I'm happy. So you guys can have whatever you got going on. I ski as often as I want. When the snow comes, I just leave my job and I go ski and I come back and work if I want. And we go, oh, but that's crazy. God forbid you do something you enjoy most of your life. You're not supposed to do that. So we actually try to shame the concept of people that drop out of this society. They drop out, they step off of the train. We shame them. We go, how dare they, these rebel rousers? That's wrong. How dare they have happiness in their life? Because we got to keep this system going. Infinite inflation. We got to keep infinite income coming into this system, infinitely growing. We got to contribute. So I have done this several times in my life where I have been a part of the system. I get to a place where I'm not happy and I say, how did I get here? Right? The Talking Heads song. How did I get here? Has anyone else ever hit that place in your life? You just go, how did I get here? Maybe I'm in a marriage and I go, what choice? How did I make that choice? Or I've got a car I can't afford, or I've stepped into a mortgage I can't afford, or I'm now going to a school that I know is not going to really take me anywhere. I've done this many times in my life, and I've stopped and I'm going, what am I doing? And at that point in my life, I'll go, all right, I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm not going to buy into the system. I'm going to get rid of this car. I'm going to scale down. I'm going to scale down and enjoy my life. And I'll look back and go, when did I enjoy my life? When it was more simple. I want to get back to that. So I'll scale down. I'll have extra income. I'll have more time to hang out with my friends. I'll have more joy in my life. And I'll go, oh, I should get a nicer car. And away I go again. And then 5-7 years later, I go, yeah, I did it again. How did I get here? Because the system is built to scoop you back in. All of our friends are doing it. All of our family's doing it. Everyone's there to do it. This is really hard to resist all of society that's heading in the exact same direction to be able to step out and say, I'm not going to go that direction. It's constantly trying to loop you back in. And this is really what Jesus was talking about, being in the world, but not of the world. You don't have to go hide in a cave in Tibet to be spiritual, but you're going to have to step out of the system that is just trying to constantly keep you distracted, keep you busy, keep you in debt, keep you frustrated, keep you in fear so that you're buying more products and more things to try to keep along with the system that really doesn't care if you're happy or not. Did your guidance counselor sit you down in school and say, let's put together a direction for you to make you happy? Mine didn't. Mine said, all right, let's find a career that you're going to hate, but it's going to pay well. Let's find the quickest way to get into misery. So We got Mr. Miyagi, pretty simple words. Focus. This might be generation specific. I hope some of you know who Mr. Miyagi is. Karate Kid. Focus. What are we really focused on in our lives? If the focus is on more, then we're going to constantly be striving to get more things, more stuff, more relationships, more debt, more stress in our lives. If that's what we're thinking is more, I got to advance my job, I got to get more income, I'm never going to settle to find joy where I am. It's just sort of a simple equation. If that's where my focus is, that's where my life's going to follow. So what am I truly focused on? Whatever I focus on, my life becomes. And that's conscious or subconscious. Right? We don't necessarily wake up every morning and go, I'm going to buy into a system that creates misery. But subconsciously, we're in that system. And we have bought in. And we're just going along with that system. And we see depression on the rise, and we see medications on the rise in our society, and no one's really stopping to say, perhaps we need something else. Perhaps there's a spiritual component to life. Perhaps there's a God or something like that out there that's more important than just more stuff. Maybe. Mother Teresa, hope you're familiar with her, she said, live simply. Live simply. You study, and I've studied a lot of the great masters, but when you study the great masters, pretty much all of them are talking about scale down your life. Scale down your consciousness. It's really hard to meditate when your mind is racing with all the things you've got going on in your life. I was at a point in my life where I was trying to meditate, and my mind was just so busy, and I had this idea that if I meditated enough, I'd be able to manage my busy life. And then it hit me, no, the reason I can't meditate is because my life is so busy that I can't get my brain to slow down when I try to meditate. So I actually have to slow down my life to allow meditation to do what it's designed to do. I can't meditate enough to compensate for the chaos I'm creating in my day-to-day life. It was completely opposite. It was a totally American way of thinking about it. I need to get more nonsense done today, which means I got to meditate more in the morning so I can get even more nonsense done today. No, I need to have less nonsense in my life so when I sit down to meditate, I'm clearer and I go deeper. But I was thinking in reverse. Live simply. It's really hard to enjoy life when we're just racing from one thing to the next. One stressful thing to the next, one some worrisome thing to the next. And now just put on top of that, we've got a news media that's designed to keep us terrified and stressed. And they do that through social media, they do that through television news, they do that through books and magazines and podcasts and whatever we're engaged in. Most of it is shock jock, stress-inducing information that just tries to teach you that the world is dangerous. So it's just going to feed you the few stories in your area that are scary, ignoring the hundreds and thousands of events that happened around you that were beautiful and miraculous. So then we have this picture of this world that's dangerous. And so we got to isolate. We got to get away from each other. We got to hide. We can't go out in public because it's dangerous. And we wind up stressed. We know that isolation is horrible on the body. When we are afraid to be around each other, when we don't have community like this, it's horrible on the body, it's horrible on the psyche. You know, they study people, some of the healthiest, longest living people are the ones that have the most powerful community around them. The tightest and most beautiful connections. All the things we can eat and drink and do, and they find out some of the most healthy things you can do is have a beautiful community around you. But that's not what we're being told by the world. The world's trying to convince us to be scared of everything. Got to be scared of everything. We've got to build our fences taller in our backyard so we can't see our neighbors. God forbid we know who our neighbors are. So I have come to many realizations in my life, and one of these questions that came to me was, does the way I live aligned with my beliefs and my priorities. I'm really tired of hypocrisy in the world. Anyone else tired of that? I don't want to be contributing to the hypocrisy in the world. If I'm truly a student of unity, which I've been my entire life, I want to be a living exemplification of these principles. Otherwise, I'm a hypocrite. If I'm not practicing what I'm learning, and especially what I'm talking about, then I am a walking hypocrite. And I've found myself in times to be a walking hypocrite, and I just don't want to add to the hypocrisy in the world because I'm tired of it. Are you tired of it? We see it in the news, we see it in our leadership, and go, look at those hypocrites, but yet, here we are as walking hypocrites. Why should they be any better than we are? So I don't want to do anything out of alignment with what I truly believe and value to be true in my life. Because my life is a living example to everyone around me. It's the best teaching tool I have. I could stand in a soapbox and yell at you all day long, but it doesn't do anything. But you look at me and say, you know what, Shad seems pretty happy, pretty together. What is he doing that works? And I could say, hey, it's called unity. I could sit here and preach to you about unity all day long. You go, yeah. But if I show up as something, you go, hey, that looks pretty good. Then I say it's unity, slightly different impact there. Does the way I live align with my beliefs and my priorities? Well, I'm going to have to understand what my priorities and my beliefs are. Well, it's fascinating. In the book of Mark, there's a story of a father bringing his possessed son to Jesus' disciples, and they can't heal the possessed son, so then they sort of move it up the chain to Jesus himself. We recognize in the Bible at those times what they recognized as possession was probably just mental illness in this child. So come to Jesus, and Jesus said to his father, if you are able, all things can be done for the one who believes. Immediately the father of the child cried out, I believe, help my unbelief. Initially reading that, they go, those are two contrary statements. Why would he say, I believe, and then say, help my unbelief? Because fundamentally, that's how most of us show up in the world today. I believe, but help my deep-seated unbelief. I believe in God, but I don't really believe in God. Because if I really believed in God, my life would look very different than the way I'm living it right now. That's the realization I came to years ago. I thought to myself, do you really believe in God? And I said, yes, I believe in God. But then I thought, if I really believed in God, I really believed that there's an infinite intelligence moving in and through all things around me, all people, we are connected as one family, I would not be doing some of the things I'm doing. I'd be spending a lot more time trying to engage with and contact and get in touch with this divine life I'm calling God. My life would shift if I truly believed. And this father right here is having a realization, I believe, in that one statement. He goes, I believe. And then he felt the unbelief within him and said, you know what, Jesus, please help me believe. Because he wants to believe. He wants to save his son. And Jesus is saying, part of your belief is making your son ill. That's the power of the mind as a parent. Part of your belief is trapping your son in illness. You are going to have to address your belief for this child to get healed. So not only consciously when you say, I believe, you're going to have to address your subconscious that doesn't believe this can be done. So it's a powerful little section in the Bible that we don't often talk about. We believe, but do we really believe? So if I actually believe in God, and I've decided I do, then God must become a priority in my life. That was the realization I came to. If I actually believe in God, God would have to become a priority in my life. Over and atop my car, over and atop my job, over and atop all the nonsense things that I'm spending all my time and energy into, God would have to be a priority in my life if I truly believed in this essence we call God. What then in my life needs to shift to align with that belief and priority? I don't know if this is how your mind thinks, but this is how my mind thinks. It just starts analyzing my life. And I go, all right, what would have to shift? What would I have to change if I truly, and I can't say this deep enough, if I truly believe in God? What would have to shift in my life to align with that belief? Well, a few things would have to shift. I decided I would have to have a dedication to a daily spiritual practice. I would have to. If God is a priority in my life, I've got to every single day work on coming in closer alignment with that essence. I would just have to. It's like if you want to become a great piano player, you've got to practice every single day. I was a trumpet player growing up. My trumpet teacher would say, Shad, either practice every day or quit. Because when you show up to me on Thursday and you haven't practiced all week, I can tell and you're wasting my time. Either you practice every day or quit. Well, if it's that case just with a musical instrument, what about contacting this divine essence? I'm going to have to practice every single day. I'm also going to have dedication to my spiritual community. I firmly believe what Jesus said, where two or more are gathered in my name, there I am. I'm going to have to gather with people. I'm going to have to dedicate myself to my spiritual community, to my unity community. I'm going to have to be here in practice with them as often as I can be. If I truly believe in God and this essence that I'm trying to get in contact with to reveal my highest self, I'm going to have to make some changes in my life. And I'm going to have to be dedicated to living the unity principles. If I truly believe in unity, which I do, I'm going to have to be dedicated to living to these principles, not just on Sunday morning, every day of the week. This was my thought process. This is the process I was going through to try to realign my life with authenticity. So, when we look at unity principle, we fundamentally sort of all agree we are one family as children of God, individualized, unique expressions of the one. Does that sound relatively familiar to everybody? Not too far off? Everybody's like, where is he coming up with this nonsense? Okay, good. I just want to make sure we're remotely on the same page here. How will this shift my life knowing I believe it and it is a priority? How would this shift my life? We say the statement all the time. We repeat it, we think about it, but if we truly believe this statement to be true, how would it shift my life? So that someone saw me at any point in time living my life, they'd say, absolutely, they believe that to be true. And they exemplify that truth in their life. What would I shift? What would I have to shift from no matter where I went? People said, yeah, 100%, that person believes that to be true, and they live into that truth. I decided I will not consciously or subconsciously, directly or indirectly suppress or harm members of my God family. If we are indeed one, how could I possibly and purposefully or unconsciously harm myself? Because they're my brothers and sisters. God is moving in and through all of us. It would make no sense that I'm actively harming something or even subconsciously inactively harming something because it is me. It wouldn't make any logical sense. We are not all one until we are all treated equitably. This is something that I've had to come to realize in the last few years. I can talk about our oneness as individualized expressions of God as one family, but if each of us is not being treated equitably, I'm ignoring the larger problem that there's a system in place not only trying to keep me in debt and keep me fearful, but suppressing access for some individuals over others. As a white, cisgender, heterosexual, middle-class male, I've been given access to things that other members of my God family have not been given access to. And I have to come to the realization, if I want to treat my brothers and sisters equitably, I'd have to be more aware if I've given an advantage and others have been held down. It's not an easy process that I've had to go to, studying and learning the pains and struggles of my brothers and sisters of the God family, but I want to make sure that if we are one family, I'm making sure everyone's treated equitably. This includes all suppressed groups, Black, Indigenous people of color, LGBTQ+, women, and people of varying abilities, and animals. All part of my God family. I want to make sure they're being treated equitably. Or else, how am I living in accordance with the truth that I believe? If I'm allowing systems to exist that suppress people and possibly even suppress their access to God, how could I possibly let that system exist, even if I'm conscious or subconscious or unconsciously allowing it to happen? It wouldn't make any sense, because I would now be living out of alignment with my truth that we are all one family. I wouldn't let someone actively suppress my sister Santisha in front of me. No way. Why would I let anyone actively suppress anyone else in my family? I decided I will no longer be party to the suppression, exploitation, or consuming of members of my God family. Everyone's on their journey. Everyone's got a direct channel to God to decide what's best for their life. I'm not here to tell people what to do with your life. I'm just sharing my story of where I came to. I cannot be party to the suppression and destruction of my God family. I just wouldn't allow it in my life anymore. I came to a place that I had an allergic reaction to it. When I saw a system in place that was doing that, creating suffering, I had an allergic reaction to it. My body said, we can't allow this anymore. My consciousness said, we can't allow this anymore. And as you spiritually grow, and the masters talk about, your life will change whether you want it to or not. As your consciousness is elevating, your life will change whether you're ready for it or not. There's a story of a young man from Hollywood. This Hollywood star came to the Guru Yogananda in California, and he said, I want to have your teachings, I want to follow your path. He said, but if I do I have to give up all the gorgeous women I've been running around with? And Yogananda said, no, you won't. He said, I really like to smoke. Well, I have to give up smoking. Yogananda said, no, you won't have to give up smoking. He said, I like flashy cars and I like my beautiful house. Well, I have to give that up. Yogananda said, no, you won't have to give any of that up. But I can't guarantee you won't want to. What do you really need to be happy? I think every one of us has had this thought in our mind. We've thought about all the things we have and what really matters to us. What do I really need to be happy? And I've found myself in times in my life where I'm overworking and I'm not spending much time with my daughter, and I go, what am I doing? This job is irrelevant in comparison to the time with my daughter. I would much rather have a smaller house and more time with my daughter than trying to keep this big house facade up for her, justifying she needs this big house to help her grow. And I'm like, this is ridiculous. I want to be in the house with her, not outside the house that she's in, trying to make it bigger. So I would scale back my time at work. What do you really need to be happy? How much do you really need to be happy? What does it actually take? Mother Teresa's full quote is actually, live simply so that others may simply live. We use so many resources in this society with this more, get more, take more society that we're actually now taking the resources from other people around the world to make sure we can keep up this system happening at the expense of them being able to have access to these resources. And Mother Teresa out there doing the work in these third world countries is saying, come on, how much do you really need to be happy, folks? Can we share a little? When we think about, people say, oh, the planet can't sustain how many people are on it. No, it can't sustain how many people are on it if we're all trying to live like we're living. But it's got plenty of resources to sustain people in an equitable and fair system. So this is our house that we live in, Erna and myself. We spent some time thinking about what actually do we need to be happy, and we started just letting things go that we realized did not bring us happiness. And all those television shows were on about the tiny homes and all the things, and people are all jazzed about tiny homes. Everybody said, oh, I'd love to live in a tiny home. And we said, why don't we actually live in a tiny home? Everyone's talking about it. Why don't we actually do it? So we came up with basically a 2-year plan to be scaling down our lives. We went from a 5-bedroom home down to a 2-bedroom apartment, and then we went into our tiny home. 180 square feet. That's what we live in. And it's all we need. It's got a kitchen, it's got a bathroom. Someone said, do you guys even shower? Yes, we shower. There's a shower in there. Someone actually said, do you guys shower? And I go, do I smell? Is something wrong? What else? I'm not sure what the question is. Yes, I shower. When we thought about what do we actually need to be happy? And once we removed all the things, we realized it were just cluttering our lives, cluttering our consciousness. We didn't need more than this. And what's amazing about having a tiny home is you actually go out and use the community. Because you're in this little house, you don't have everything in your house. You go out to visit a coffee shop. You go out to the park. You go out to your library. Did you know you have libraries still? There's beautiful libraries in all these towns. We actually go to the library and it's like, wow, this place is awesome. I didn't know it was here when I have a 5-bedroom house. You actually start to go back out in the community and talk to people and be part of things. So that has been our journey. It's been the most liberating, beautiful experience to just let things go, to open up our lives. Because you recognize when you create a void in your life, blessings start to flood in. But when there's all that clutter there, it's like a dam in the flow in your life. And God just can't get in because your brain's too distracted. You start to remove those things from that dam, and all of a sudden this beauty and blessing starts to flow in. We have an amazing co-founder of this movement named Myrtle Fillmore. I hope we're all familiar with Myrtle Fillmore. We are, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. If you're not familiar with Myrtle, just see any of us in the front row after the service. She said, true prosperity is not making money or putting out goods or developing property. It's determining what our souls require in order to cause them to unfold more of God. What does your soul require to get in contact with God? I doubt it needs a new lease on a vehicle. It's probably not what's on its mind. Not that there's anything wrong with having a beautiful car. If you've got space for it, great. But the society I was raised in was always teaching me to reach just beyond what I could actually afford. Push those limits so I can never have enough money to enjoy, to save, to find presence in where I am right now. Myrtle's really setting us straight. She said the concept of prosperity, stop thinking it's about money and stuff and things that I need. Start thinking about what your soul is causing you to unfold. And that is the truth as I experience it. Thank you.
Experiences. It's wonderful to stop, think, reflect. We so often talk about the fact that we are co-creators with God. We're always creating something. What does your soul need? How do you create greater community? I know many of you are here every week, every class, every possibility. But I encourage you, if you're not fully experiencing the wonder of this community, come more often. Get more involved. Not only do we make wonderful discoveries for ourselves, we help others awaken by our presence, as Shad was describing. Many of you know I follow the work of Rudolf Steiner. We have a study group here. January is a great time to join us as we begin a new book. But there's an essential idea that we work with, and that is people awaken in the presence of others. Do you hear that? People awaken in the presence of others. To me, that was part of the idea behind Jesus' statement, where two or more. He didn't say where I stand by myself, But where two or more are gathered, there am I, the great idea, present. So, thank you so much for all you brought to us this weekend. And Arana, too. She sits quietly, but she's busy at work, coordinating and supporting Shad's work, too. So it is now time to bless our gifts. And as I've often said, Charles Fillmore said, we all have the power to bless. So do it. Use it. And to bless is to see the fullness of truth within a person or a circumstance. So I invite you to take your gifts this morning and really realize what they are. We don't call them love offerings in unity for no reason. We call them love offerings because it's sharing something I called mine for a greater purpose, a greater good. So it's not just a denomination or a check or coins. It's your offering of love for this community and by extension, our greater city and our world. So our musicians are going to come forward and bless us once again and just give you some time to contemplate your love offering, that which you're sharing with all.
Said the night wind to the little lamb, do you see what I see? Way up in the sky, little lamb, do you see what I see? A star, dancing in the night with a tail as big as a kite, with a tail as big as a kite. Said the little lamb to the shepherd boy, do you hear what I hear? Ringing through the sky, shepherd boy. Voice as big as the sea, with a voice as big as the sea. So said the shepherd boy to the mighty king, do you know what I know? In your palace warm, mighty, mighty king, do you know what I know? There's a child, it shivers in the cold. Let us bring him silver and gold. Let us bring him silver and gold. King to the people everywhere, listen to what I say. Pray for peace, people everywhere.
My friends, let us bless what was once mine and is now ours. Father, Mother God, we give thanks for your blessing individually in our lives. We also give thanks for the power of your substance moving through this community into this world. I invite you to join in our newly modified affirmation in the bulletin. Together, recognizing the value of this spiritual community in my life, I affirm divine love flowing through me, blesses and multiplies all the good that I am and have, all the good that I give and receive, and I am grateful. Thank you. There's our wonderful treats downstairs, a time to visit with one another. But you know, I've been given notice that there's a train we need to catch, and it's getting ready to depart. And I invite you to stand.
And help us lead it.
And help us lead it. We gotta kick this off. This train's gonna take us someplace good. You'll find words on the back of your bulletin.
People all over the world, join hands, start a love train, a love train. People all over the world, join hands, we'll start a love train, love train. World, come on, join hands, start a love train, a love train. People all over the world, join hands, start a love train, love train. Now, the next stop that we make will be in England. I want you to tell all your folks in Russia and China too. Do you know that it's time to get on board and let this train keep on riding, riding, riding through. Now you people all over the world, join hands, we'll start a love train, a love train. People all over the world, I think we should do that one more time. I got excited. People all over the world, join hands, start a love train, love train. Let me hear ya. Oh, yeah. Join hands and start a love train, a love train. Everybody watching, join hearts, all over the world. Start a love train. People all over the world, join hands and start a love train, a love train. You got away from me. Thank you.
As we depart now, in joy and peace and newborn confidence and a greater sense of love at work within us and among us, let us take our prayer for protection and seal what we've experienced together. Together, the light of God surrounds us, the love of God enfolds us, the power of God protects us, the presence of God watches over us. Wherever